Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Tshego, and today we're looking at the Proverbs 31st woman and basically the lessons that she teaches us about wealth and prosperity. And before we get into the 10 points that I have to share with us, I'm going to quickly read the scriptures so that we know what we are referring to when we are talking. And also, this is the first video that I literally have got 10 points. So today I'm going to look at my notes so that I don't get lost. So just pardon me as you see me looking down. So anyways, I'm going to read the scriptures. It starts in Proverbs 31 from verse 10 to 31. And it goes like this. An excellent wife who can find? She is far more precious than jewels. The heart of her husband trusts in her, and he will have no lack of gain. She does him good and does not harm all the days of her life. She seeks wool and flax and works with willing hands. She's like the ships of the merchants. She brings food from afar. She rises while it is yet night and provides food for her household and portions for her maidens. She considers her fields and buys it. With the fruit of her hands, she plants a vineyard. She dresses herself with strength and dignity and makes her arms strong. She perceived that her merchandise is profitable. She puts her hand to the distaff and her hands to hold a spindle. She opens her hand to the poor and reaches out her hands to the needy. She's not afraid of snow for her household, for all her household are clothed in scarlet. She makes bed coverings for herself. Her clothing is fine linen and purple. Her husband is known in the city gates when he sits among the elders of the land. She makes linen garments and sells them. She delivers sashes to the merchants. Strength and dignity are her clothing. She laughs at the time to come. She opens her mouth with wisdom, and the teaching of kindness is on her tongue. She looks well to the ways of the household and does not eat the bread of idleness. Her children rise up and call her blessed. Her husband also, he praises her. Many women have done excellently, but she surpassed them all. Charm is deceitful and beauty is vain, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. Give her of the fruit of her hands, and let her works praise her. So when I was younger, I despised this proverb. I thought this is the superwoman who can do everything. But I'm getting to learn that it is not so. She's a woman who I believe that her husband is a wealthy man himself. He's done well for himself, and she's able to use the resources of the household to build wealth. And we're just going to go ahead and jump into the points, and then in no particular order. And it's not basically the points is not all the points that can be found, but it's the ones that I saw. Anyway, point number 1, she has a relationship with God. Now, there's scriptures that says that a house that is built on a rock will stand. And in other words, she can build her household whichever way she may want, but it's God who ultimately will make it stand. And so she has that relationship with God. And the Proverbs continue to talk about wisdom calls from the streets, and the wisdom of the Proverbs is imploring people to use me. And therefore, if you don't use the wisdom, you find these, especially in the beginning of Proverbs, chapter 1, chapter 2, 3, 4, 5. And basically, if you don't use the wisdom of God's word, when your life is ruined, you shouldn't be surprised. And I believe that this woman knows that even the creativity and her ability to make wealth is from the Lord. And she has that relationship with God and fears the Lord. And so that's why they say beauty is charm is deceitful and beauty is vain. I mean, human beings, we won't stay beautiful forever. However, it's our relationship with God that counts at the end of the day. And then point number 2, integrity. And with integrity, I find that it says that the heart of her husband trusts her. Are you a person of integrity? Are we people of integrity? And sometimes when I think about that, it's about, are you going to be where you say that you're going to be? If someone has a meeting with you and then you say, okay, I'll meet you on such and such a day at such and such a time. Are you going to be there? And I do realize that sometimes life happens, but a lot of times, I don't know how many uncancelled meetings and lunches and dinners have happened to me where people actually don't call to say something has come up, I'm not able to come, cancel a business meeting, cancel a work appointment. Are we going to be where we say we're going to be at the time? Where when we say, and if we're not going to be able to make it, are we going to call and cancel? Or do we let someone still think that we're coming? I mean, while we're not. Do we use property that's not ours the way that we want someone else to handle our property, whether it's our cars or our houses, where we rent? When someone loses his car, sometimes we run into people that are driving a company car, and the roads here are terrible. And sometimes someone actually likes to comment on that, like, jeepers, I wouldn't let someone like that drive my car. Do we handle other people's property the way that we want our property to be handled? Do we use the money that we've been trusted with for what we said we're going to use it for? And I feel like this is where the husband trusts in her, is that she's a person of integrity. And when we're people of integrity, sometimes people look at us and basically judging by our life, can they invest in us? If we want to start a business today and we're looking for an investor, if people are to look at our track record, are we the type of people that they want to work with, that they want to invest in, and so on and so forth? And appearance. On appearance, I would say they say that you you dress the way that you want to be addressed. And while this may seem small, I have seen this at play when you go to places where you've got servers, and if your appearance is not good, if you didn't look after yourself and you just woke up and you just went just the way that you are, you get looked after differently than someone actually who took care of their appearance. And it reminds me, when I was a flight attendant, we had a trainer. It was a peculiar thing to hear from a guy, especially. He was saying, some people are, are intelligent, but others were born pretty. And it sounded funny at the time, but I'm starting to learn that there's a pretty privilege. There's a way that people they deal with you in the public places based on the way that you appear. And sometimes, as believers, sometimes I think, how many times have I said sometimes? I think that we can assume that this is not an issue to speak on, but modesty. Modesty doesn't go out of fashion. Doesn't mean that you have to dress like a granny. You don't have to be faddy-daddy, frumpy. You can be modest and still look stylish. You can be, I'm not the best example in the area. Yeah, but I think sometimes the world has got all these fashionable clothes and they look cute, but sometimes they are inappropriate, and especially in a business world. If you want people to take you seriously in what you have to say, you have to consider both modesty and looking smart and clean. You don't always have to wear the newest and the latest clothes, but you can at least have a good appearance. I got this when it says that her clothes are purple. Is it purple and linen? Yeah, she makes bed coverings for herself. Her clothing is fine linen and purple. And we know that purple was an expensive material at the time. It means she's a woman of class. And we don't have to go into expense these days. The textile industry is actually bad for the environment, but it makes it possible for anybody to look good. We've talked about appearance. So the next one is confidence. It says that she perceives that her merchandise is good. I don't know if I should assign this confidence or wisdom, but I think first of all, she perceives that her merchandise is good. She's confident in what she is bringing forth, but the perception of the good merchandise, that for me would be the next point, which means that she's made a good decision. When she was buying an asset to sell, she made a good decision, and she can quite tell that she did. Sometimes I paint for children mostly. It's not this type of painting. This is Amon. I don't know if you want to see it. Yeah, that's Amon's work. But anyways, I do paintings for children, and every time I get a painting done, I always say to Amon, and I'll say it multiple times a day, man, I love this painting. Man, I love this painting. And I'm always like, if I'm not going to love it, who is? Yeah. So she has that same confidence that her merchandise is good. And from that point, we jump into point number 5, creativity. We are children of the Most High, who is a creative God. He is the creator, and He has made us co laborers with Him. Therefore, we are also co creators with Him. And this is where the creativity aspect of us comes from. And I also feel like this is where the desire for humans to grow more and to achieve more comes from, because we are the children of a creative God. And she is also creative. It says here that she puts her hands to the distaff and her hands to hold a spindle. And so she's not only got like businesses where she's selling merchandise, but she actually does work with her hands, creative work with her hands, to continue to look after her family and to sell. And the next point is diligence. She's a diligent woman. First of all, she wakes up early to put breakfast on the table for her maidens. She's a diligent woman. She seeks wool. She seeks wool and flax and works with willing hands. Willing hands. Um, she brings food from afar. There's many points really that can be said about the fact that she is a diligent woman. And I'm thinking of the Proverbs when it talks about the ant, consider the ant and its ways. And it basically goes on to talk about this ant that is this hard-working creature. It's so tiny, but it works hard. If you can see ants actually getting food, sometimes when we go into winter, it can be quite a fascinating thing. It's like there is just this working together and coordination, and yeah, there's this diligence that they keep going and going and going. You see them going to get their food, you see them going back to their little holes underground. And yeah, the King Solomon, he tells us to consider the ways of the ant, you sluggard, and see how it works. And he goes on to tell us that a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the arms, and poverty will come and rob us. It will attack us like an armed robber, something like that. Yeah, she is a diligent woman. And I also want to say, after that, point number, diligent was point number 6. So point number 7, I'm going to say that she also knows how to delegate. She's got maidens. And I think in the past, when we've been taught about the Proverbs 31st woman, she was this woman who just did everything. But in actual fact, she's got maids who are there to help her to do some of the work in her house. She's got children, she's got a husband, she's got businesses. So the maids will be there so that she can assign some of the work and not have to do it all by herself. That would be delegation, would be point number 7. Point number 8, income producing asset. We get this when it says that she considers a field and she buys it. Now, a field would be an asset, and sometimes we can buy a field and build our house on it, but she uses the field to plant a vineyard, and so that's going to continue to give more financial reward to her and her family. It actually reminds me of the scripture where the Bible talks about a man who goes and buys a field. He sees treasure on a field, and after the treasure, he goes and he goes look for the owner of the field to come buy the field, and now he's got all the treasure that's in the field. So yeah, she's got an income producing asset. This is the part where we learn to buy assets that will help our money to make more money, our money to have babies and grandbabies. And it has to be handled with wisdom. And this is a point where, in fact, you can work with someone who is in finance to give you advice of how to invest your money. Right. And she's got multiple streams of income. This lady is everywhere. She's got that field giving her money. She's got the wool and the flax. She her lamp doesn't go out at night. She's working on the spindle and the spindle and the distaff. Um yeah, she sells sashes. She makes linen garments and sells them. She delivers sashes to the merchants. And so on and so on. And so those are multiple streams of income. And if we want to grow wealthy quickly, we work on multiple streams of income and not just on our job, because our job is limited. When we've got a job, it's limited. You work 9 to 5 or 8 to 5, whatever hours you work, and you only have that time frame to make money. And some people make $10 an hour, some $20 an hour. In Africa, it gets even lower and lower. And so you are limited. The time is limited. Your physical body, if you get sick, you're no longer able to produce income for yourself. But when you've got multiple streams of income, you've got people that you delegate work to. You've got companies that are able to run on their own without your physical presence, like YouTube, or putting together a PDF and putting it on Amazon KDP, or whatever your extra source of income is there that doesn't need your physical body to be present. That's how multiple source of income can bring you wealth faster than if you just relied on only your income from your 9 to 5. And generosity. This is point number 10. Yes, generosity. So people that are wealthy are actually generous, and they're very charitable, and it's just a principle that poor people don't learn. And sometimes poor people think they're smart because sometimes the mindset of survival makes you think, what can I get from the next person for free? But people who are actually wealthy are looking for, what sort of programs can I give to? They'll give to the poor in the community. They'll give to the soup kitchen. Some will actually go and volunteer in soup kitchens or whatever. They'll give to a cancer charity. They'll give to an HIV charity. They'll give to an NGO that's looking after children in Africa. They're giving to people in Gaza. They're giving everywhere, all over the world. They find things to give into. They bring water for people in communities with dirty water or no water at all. And you see, the principles of wealth that God has put, they are actually not limited to Christians. It's like the law of gravity. It's there, it exists. Whether you're a Christian or not, if you jump off a building, you're going to break a bone. And it's the same with some of the wealth principles of God. They are already in motion, and sometimes unbelievers tap into them more than we believers do. You know, the other day, I was just mind blown because I just put a painting that I was working on for the VBS that we're doing with the kids, the Vacation Bible School, the conference for the kids. And I was just mentioning that working on that for the conference again this year, which is at the end of the year. An American friend reached out and they asked if they can give again like they did last year. And I was just blown away. First of all, because I had not yet asked for help, because I'm working on getting free, but I'm not yet free. So I find it difficult to ask for financial help. Money is just hard to talk about. I find it difficult to ask for help, but it is a thing that costs money. And anyways, this person reaches out to offer to give without me having asked yet. And I mean, the next morning was Sunday and we were driving to church. My mind was still blown. And I end up saying to Amon, God bless America. I know people are divided in their feelings about America. But because in my mind, it's because it's the community where she comes from that has formed that mindset of giving into charitable organizations, right? And so Amon was like, wow, no wonder America is blessed. But anyways, I was supposed to bless the person, but I said, God bless America. But anyway, it's a funny little thing to say. People that have got wealth, they have been taught to be givers. It is more blessed to give than to receive. And that's one of the principles that we can learn from the 31st woman. And lastly, which is my point number 11, and that's not exhaustive, is preparation for the future. She's not afraid of the snow. It says that she laughs at the future. I was thinking about totally unrelated but similar. Amon has got these samurai swords that someone gifted him when he was getting ordained as a pastor. And already before that, he got the samurai swords, by the way. He was always meditating on them because he has got this show called Pawn Stars. They sell like old items that have been recovered. Some people will find old items in their attic. Some people will find old items at the market that they sell and they make a lot of money with. So the thing that he loved to watch on there was the samurai swords. I don't know why he was fascinated with them, but he was. But when he and another friend were getting ordained on the same day, they were gifted with samurai swords. And so he tells me that the samurai swords were blunt. So when I opened and they were blunt, and Amon was like, oh yeah, a samurai spends time in the time of peace, sharpening his sword for the time of war. So, so in the same manner, this Proverbs 31st woman spends time in the time of plenty, preparing for when there is no plenty. She spends time in the time of feasting, preparing for a time of drought. So she's not afraid of snow. In the summer, she'll be making those woolen clothes for the snow. And in the time of plenty, she'll make food for when there's none. So these are the wealth principles that I have learned from the Proverbs 31st woman. If you have a principle to add, please comment in the description below. If there's a principle that has helped you in this discussion, please comment in the description below. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Until next time, bye.